John, after last weekend's win, what would you say the overriding sort of feeling in the camp is? Is it one of relief or one of wanting to build on that performance?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be a bit of relief after you've lost a few games in a row. We would have wanted that feeling in the first home fixture. It wasn't to be. So to get the results, especially in the manner in which it could have gone pretty pear-shaped last week, but the boys kept their heads. So yeah, we'll certainly use that to build on. It's a long way off where we need to be, but at least there's a win behind our belt. So where we'll need to, if we think we've turned the corner, we've now got to be able to open up on the straight, and that'll only be evident if we can follow through on that tomorrow.
John, it might be saying obvious, but wouldn't it be nice to get a decent start in the Tri-Nations just for once this season?
Yeah, I've forgotten what that feels like, Mike. So yeah, and the scary thing is that's all we want. That's the biggest thing we spoke about last week. So maybe what I should tell the guys this week is let's just not rock up for the first 5 minutes. We might get a lucky bounce somewhere. So yeah, a good start would be a first for us for a while.
Just in terms of motivating and incentivizing, obviously the Tri-Nations is gone, but how prestigious is the fact that you can still clinch this little inter-country title that Nelson Mandela Plate?
Yeah, the Mandela Plate's certainly at least something that we can play for, considering the terrible start that we got. So yeah, when there's something, you've got to hold on to it as hard as you can. So every test match is a massive prestige. So to have one where we can possibly at least end second, get a Mandela Plate, there's always something to play for.
John, you expecting a bit of a backlash from the Aussies this week?
I would expect nothing less. Yeah, I think it would be naive to think that they're not going to want to build on the first 20-30 minutes of that first test. They've made a few changes as well. They'll want those changes to aid them in being able to get a victory against Bloemfontein. So yeah, I mean, we certainly expect them to be coming out even harder this weekend.
John, what do you make of Stephen coming up against Stephen Moore again in the took it?
Yeah, he's far more experienced. He's going to certainly pose a much bigger challenge up front as well. And he's been playing good rugby for a long time. And I think it's taken a phenomenal season from Funga to put him out on the bench. And he's had a few injuries as well. So he'll be one of those guys he's been a stalwart of that pack over the last 2 or 3 years in terms of how they've turned themselves around. And he'll want to lead from the front, if I know him. And certainly the games I've played against him at a Super 14 level, international level, he'll be wanting to stand in front with the physicality.
John, following on from that, do you think you can read something into the changes they've made to their pack and maybe how they want to approach the game?
So, to be fair, I think it was always interesting that they'd left Chisholm out. He's a good footballer. He's good in the lineouts and he's a good player. And it's difficult to know whether they'll get results out of that until you've seen after the test. It's always difficult when you look at the squad we've got. You can make a number of changes, and it's either not going to make you weaker or stronger, or you're going to hope that the bounce of the ball goes well in a test match, and then you can tick the box and say, well, I made the right changes. And I think that's probably where Robbie Deans is at the moment, is that he's got a squad and he wants to know exactly what he's got in each of the individuals before he gets into 2011 or possibly the end of year tour. I think both coaches know that there's two things in mind, that a result is all important on Saturday to be able to finish on a high. They've still got one left in Sydney, but also to know exactly what they're sitting with a year out.
This is going to be your last test in Bloem for at least the next 2 years, and we've had pretty good success in Bloem.
Yeah, we've had a phenomenal success in Bloemfontein. I said earlier, coming back here in the 2004 and 5 seasons, we used to come 2 or 3 weeks before the first test match. It was it marked the first test match of both those years. And Doc Derek and Jake and Yana Kirika used to beat us to death for 2 weeks with fitness, and then we'd play our first test and get on to a good start. So it's been a happy hunting ground for us, and I think we've got a phenomenal support here. I think we make sure that we come and spend the whole week here and see the people. Our hotel's next door to probably the most popular mall as well, so the kids love it, and it's a good town for rugby, and we've got good results here.
John, what do you make of the Aussies' results or lack of in the Highveld? So they're making a big thing of it this week and getting the monkey off their back, so to speak. Is this something you guys speak about?
Not really. I think we speak about the same lack of results we've got in Brisbane. So it's playing away from home's tough.
Notwithstanding the poor start, what other elements of the game have been working on particularly hard this week, gauging from the past 2 games at FNB and Loftus?
Well, I think we've tried to focus, since our return from overseas, we've tried to focus on, concentrating on what we can control, which is our game, our set pieces, what we do in general play, when we kick, whether we kick well, whether we kick it to kick it away, or whether we kick it to get it back. So, when you sort of have a few bad results and things are not going your way, you've got to knuckle down and make sure that you touch back on your basics and get those up to where they belong, at 9, 10 out of 10. So we're on our way there. We're certainly not there yet.
John, just some clarification. Have you guys spoken about the BS Roof situation? Are you behind 100%?
Yeah, let's stick to rugby, but I know it's difficult for you guys.
John, there's talk that you might lose your number 2 rating if you lose against the Aussies this weekend. Obviously, it's a good thing to hold on to.
Well, I don't want to hold on to number 2.
Charles.
Sorry, who's going to hand over the jerseys, and what's the special message from the person?
I'm not sure yet. It's going to happen now, in about a half an hour. Yeah. So
we will send the release out afterwards.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet.
John, SA Rugby's made a big deal about resting players, making sure that the welfare is managed well. We've had the scientists saying so many minutes guys must rest. Peter's intimated that he wants to rest guys, but then we've got Victor saying he wants to play 10 more games. And can you just clarify where you are at the moment in terms of the end of year tour and what your feelings are in terms of the direction when it comes to resting players or not?
Yeah, I think it's always a tricky thing. We haven't spent too much time on it, Ken. It's been a disappointing transition to say the least. So our focus has been pretty much week for week. So I'm sure the planning will come in the next couple of weeks for what's coming at the end of the year tour, and certainly the road towards next year's World Cup. At the moment, we've had to really focus in on what's coming, and that's Saturday's Test match. I think when it comes to what you plan with each and every player, it's very difficult to sort of net a whole group of players. You've got to look at each individual and see what he or she has done, and see what needs to be done, whether they've got too much, too little, how old they are, how young they are. So I think that planning will certainly start taking place once we've ended this Tri-Nations.
I guess on the back of that, John, a Grand Slam tour doesn't come around every year, so it's pretty tough to make that decision, isn't it, in terms of...
It certainly would complicate planning, yeah. It's not something you would want to give up easily. In saying that, though, it's if you rested 2 or 3 guys, it wouldn't be saying that we were not having a crack at it. So it's we've got quite as much as this year hasn't worked out like we wanted to. We've identified quite a number of youngsters who certainly are going to be great Springboks one day and who can play at that level.
Thank you. That wraps it up. Thanks very much. Team photo 10 out on the draw. Thanks.